All right, welcome everyone. This is the third or fourth meeting of the City Seal Task Force, and this is a special meeting between our regularly scheduled time to talk a little bit more about follow-up items from the third meeting. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started. So as usual, I'll just start with roll call for Dee Dee for our minute taker. So let's see here. Aditi,
Present.
I'm present. VJ,
Present.
Rachel,
Here.
Pucci,
Here.
Suzanne,
Here.
and Michael, Eileen, Alphonse, and Carly are not present. Okay. So on to the next agenda item, which is just approving the previous meeting minutes. And we were just talking about how good the minutes were. So thank you, Aditi, for that. And unless anybody has any changes or discussion, we can just go ahead and get them approved.
I have a question. So yeah, Dee Dee, I do appreciate the minutes as you've been taking them. I did have a question in relation to how my presentation was presented in comparison to Suzanne's. You gave a ton of detail with Suzanne's, which I really appreciated. I think that was awesome. I just wondered where that level of detail was for my own
I'm
presentation.
sorry. Like I said, I can put that in if you'd like, or make Suzanne's more succinct if you'd like. That's why I said that I apologize for the last minute of the meeting minutes. And I've been traveling and I have a sick dog, part of the reason why.
Sure.
And if you want me to, like, are there specific details you'd like me to put in? I'm happy to do it.
Should I get you I mean, it's more mad since it's about the meeting minutes, I know we also have the video that helps as well. I was just curious to know from why there was more attention given to point by point of Suzanne's presentation versus my own. Just questioning that.
Okay, I mean, I will specifically answer that. Like, just the content was, I mean, like, I think that, is there a specific thing that was missing? Because to me, I felt like there was an alderman and like the history of the seal. I felt like I presented the content that was covered, and I similarly presented the content that was covered for Suzanne's. If you want more detail, I can definitely add more. There wasn't one way or other.
Yeah, so it's really more about, as the meeting minutes are a reflection of the meeting that we had just previously had. I'm just looking back and forth just from one to the other presentation from hers as described, describing, like, for example, the Little Black Sambo children's book gets its own paragraph, right? Which was one slide amongst many within her presentation. And with my own, the whole presentation as a whole gets its own bullet point, and then the questions get a longer.
Right, I'm happy to add more detail if you like. I just it was just my style of writing, really.
Sure, no, and that's fair. What I'm just thinking is that, as these are the meeting minutes that are going to be going into the record, not everyone's going to be watching the video to go back and see it. But as this is going to be then used in time in memoriam, I just want to make sure that there's an equal share of attention given to both.
No, that's fine. I mean, the other thing I actually wanted to ask was, I thought I would have access to the presentations, but I was going to get email. So if you want to email me your presentation, I can copy paste into it.
Yeah, I can do that. At the last meeting, you had stated that it would be fine on the video to use that because we hadn't had the Google Drive up and running yet. But yeah, I'll email you right now, Aditi.
I mean, if there is a specific summary you want me to add, if you want to write up that summary and send it to me, I can definitely include that. But I can also put down like, I watched the whole meeting yesterday for 90 minutes on, like, it was 2 hour 40-minute meeting. And the other thing I also wanted to ask was that, like, could we have, just for note-taking purposes, I know that there's ChatGPT and like AI assistants now available for meetings if you want that level of detail. I think this is just my style of writing more than anything else. I don't, it's not a reflection of anything else.
Sure. No, that's fine. And I guess Rahina, this is a question for you. I mean, is it okay if I give my own summary going into the meeting minutes that is compiled by the minute taker? From that perspective, is that okay? Is that above board in that regard?
Um, I mean, I think it's perfectly okay. Like that would just be considered an edit from
Okay.
this task force, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is just more so that there was more level of detail for one presentation than another, which I think we can certainly be more mindful of in the future. I personally didn't necessarily catch that, so that's on me too. And also I was going to say something. Oh, yes, for the Chat GPT, I actually suggested that when this task force started, just because I do know that the minutes can be a pretty big lift. And we're still getting guidance from the city in regards to what we can use AI for and what we can't. And there hasn't been guidance yet. So right now the default is we can't really use it for any anything public or anything that's
That's fair.
like for public meetings. Hopefully that will change in the future, but in the meantime we do kind of have to um just keep doing the meeting minutes as we usually do. And I think also on the presentation, I think it just slipped my mind to send it out because it was in the recording. But hopefully once we get the drive up and running, we can save it in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
mean,
if
I'll definitely
anyone
make it
wants
available.
any additions or any removal from the meeting, that's the whole point of this review thing. So
Yeah.
Vijay, you can of course send a summary, and if you want more details put in, I can absolutely do that. I also like just want to say, like, we all are volunteering our time in this, and secretary and minute meeting writing is not, it's a time intensive task.
Of
Um,
course. No,
so
absolutely.
I'm happy to put in and remove and collaborate with you or anyone else who wants things removed or added or wants to take on the task of secretary if they think they can do the minutes better than I can. Please volunteer your time, you know?
Sure. I mean, it's more a matter of, I just wanted to get clarity on it as I just wanted to make sure that there was an equitable understanding of each of our input into what is going into public record under the written format. I mean, more detail is always better than not. And Rahina, I do agree. I think a chat GPT or AI summary would be okay, but I also guess if that's going against the rules, then that's, would not be all right. But Aditi, what I'll do is I'll send you the presentation, and if you'd like a summary, I can include that as well.
Wait,
As long as
whatever
that's
works for you, man.
great, cool, sounds great.
All right. Thank you. And yeah, hopefully we'll get more guidance soon on the AI use, but I know that the assistant city solicitor has been working on it, so I'll mention it to him again. And we can go from there. And so in that case, we can't really approve them because there's been some changes, so we're just going to continue it to the next agenda, and hopefully in that agenda we can approve them, okay?
Thank you.
Mhm. All right. And so the next agenda item is a follow-up conversation around the shared drive for task force materials. And I think it's more than anything just an update, another update. So we have to continue this again because the IT still hasn't published it. I did get in touch with them last week, and apparently the IT director was out. And so he's working on it. He was working on it last week, so I'll hopefully have an update by the upcoming meeting and we can get that up and running. So I'll keep sending emails to IT and kind of nudging them along, and hopefully we'll have it up and running by our next regular meeting. Any questions there before I move on? Okay. And then the next agenda item is just a follow-up discussion about public engagement strategy. And yeah, I think just to look at what we covered last meeting, I think it was everything from just the need for public input, right? And how we were going to do that. Publishing the feedback form after the meeting. I did hold off on publishing it on the website, just to have more conversation about it this meeting. But I can get that on the website pretty quickly. I just wanted to see if we wanted to adjust our approach at all with the creation of the yeah, of the press release or whatever we're calling it. And yeah, I think that's all I kind of remember in terms of what we discussed from last meeting. And of course, we were also going to finish up what we wanted to um release to the public. Is that a good summary, or am I missing anything, Rachel?
Yeah, I think that's it. And I think it does make sense to like have the information, the press release alongside of the response because, if you just put out the response, maybe people don't fully know what's going on. And then, we just want to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, and that was my same thinking. So I figured we'd just coordinate and see if there was anything we wanted to say along with the public input form. Okay, so yeah, I'd just like to open up the floor for discussion on that.
I have a question about the form. Is the form going to be addressed to, because everybody can watch this online, right? Is the form going to be addressed to us as a collective body, or will people be able to write us individually, or and will we read all of us read all of them, or will we
Um,
divvy them?
so the idea was that if the form was submitted, it would come to all of us automatically. And so it's just a generic form with the questions that we discussed. So I don't think that it it's directed to any one of us specifically. It's directed to the entire task force. But our names are on the website. So in theory, a person could reach out to just VJ or just you, Suzanne, because our information is online.
But they would, sorry, just to dive in, they would be emailing our city email addresses, right? They wouldn't be like calling us up or
Correct.
knocking on our door.
Yeah, and that's also a benefit of having the salem.com email address.
Yeah.
So yeah, to talk about different modes of engagement, I think we talked about a few things. We have the online form now. We talked about maybe doing a couple of like tabling at some local events like the farmers market. And then I think the third thing was we were going to do a few kind of staggered listening sessions that would coincide as well with like kind of the information that was coming in.
Yes, thank you for reminding me of that. And so part of what I wanted to achieve this meeting was to schedule the logistics for that listening session. So maybe that can be our our talking point. Our next talking point is when we want to have that listening session, where, what time of the day, and how we want it to go.
Hmm.
So
It's going
our
to be,
next, oh, sorry, VJ,
no,
go
go ahead,
ahead.
Rachel. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. All good.
Oh, I was just trying to think about like when our next meeting was and then maybe putting a listening session like maybe like a week or 2 weeks after that meeting so people could respond to everything so far.
Yeah, so our next meeting is on oh, I'm realizing I don't have it on my calendar. I thought I had sent out.
It's the 16th, maybe?
You did send something out because I definitely have like a Zoom link and all that within
Right.
the.
Yeah, I think it's definitely on the Zoom calendar because I think I set reminders. I don't think I just set calendar reminders. But yes, it's on the 16th at 4. So maybe we can schedule it on the 30th or 7th. Or I guess that's part of the question. Do we want to have it on a Monday, or should we consider changing the date for whatever reason?
Well,
Mm,
one of the things that some of the mail that came in was critical of was that having daytime sessions are make it harder for people who are at work. And I'm fine with doing them at night. If are these would be online that we would do the listening session, or would that be at a table, like an old town hall or something?
So,
I felt the email's a little confusing. Sorry, Rahina, you were gonna go. You're
no,
gonna
go
say.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I found it very confusing when you want participation from Salem residents, and at the same time, there was also an email about Dr. Feener's timing not working, and like I'm like, which is it? Like, could we do it in the day? If we do it in the daytime, then it's just getting like I think that we amongst us need to decide because if we consider a lot from the males, there's conflicting kind of asks. So I don't know. Because there was this one other email that said, oh, it's got to be at a time where uh, Michael Feener can attend, and then there was another email saying that public needs to be able to attend these forums. So if we do it after 5 o'clock, then you know for are we talking just about like being able to attend these or have online presence, or are we saying in person as well? In person could be on a different day.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I think the email that Suzanne is referring to is the one that was, well, I guess, yeah, yeah, I see your point, Aditi, around the conflicting feedback. But I guess yeah, like I see a benefit in scheduling it in the evening to just accommodate people who might be working later, whatever the case might be. I think a hybrid format might be best to just give it a try for 1 or 2 meetings, see how it goes. Because I think some people do like to show up in person, and we still would of course want to accommodate the people who can't make it in person for whatever reason. It would just be nice to offer both options. I can see what room is available. It would typically be either in the City Hall Annex or at the CLC, the Community Life Center. So both spaces are good options.
Well, also, one of the things I was confused about, it sounded like that some of the writers were assuming it would be the format that they use when the city council meets, where people talk for 2 minutes and then have to sit down. And I've done that. It seems like a really short period of time. I'd be open to letting people, as long as they weren't, as long as they were civil and respectful, it would to have more than 2 minutes of time to talk.
Yeah, and I think that format is because the city council typically has an agenda to get to, so they allocate like a certain amount of time. Um, and since typically there could be, more than sometimes 10 people for a 10-minute time frame, you have to limit how long they are able to speak. So I imagine if we have, let's say we book an hour, right? And if we have 3 people sign up, we can really have them talk as long as they want, right? Just as long as we get to all 3 people. But the time restriction is really just in the event that we have a lot of people sign up, right? And then just for time management purposes, we have to limit each person.
Do you think a lot of people will sign up?
I really have no idea, right? It'll be our first listening session, so we could get a lot of people or we could get two or three.
Seasonality doesn't help too with the summer, but
Well, and
Yeah.
one of the things Rachel was saying that I've actually thought a bit about is, because I've experienced this too, is that a lot of people don't even know that we're doing this. Like, the people who know that we're doing this seem generally opposed. But I think it would be interesting because I've talked to a couple of my friends and they have no idea, and I think they would be very supportive. So it would be nice to have a balanced response somehow, but I wonder if we don't sort of get more, hopefully the forms, we're hoping that the forms in the mission statement will do that. Is that right, Rachel?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that that's where like I mean, in everything I do like to be like multi-pronged, you know? And I think that it's like the online form is great. I think that having, you know, these listening sessions in person is also great, but I think that the like kind of tabling is like gonna reach a key demographic. And when I say like key demographic, I mean I think we should go to specific events in different neighborhoods. Like, I think that we have to make some kind of outreach in order to like get to know people and hear people's opinions and tell them what we're doing. Because I really think that there are parts of the city, you know, because also Salem's like strangely pretty large. Like, there's all these different neighborhoods, right? It's like only certain people who like live near the farmers market maybe like go regularly, or like, you know, if you live like near Highland Ave, gosh, you're not going to the farmers market, or you're not, you know, doing stuff near City Hall necessarily. So I would love, and I'm, you know, here to volunteer my time as well, to just try to do some in-person things in different locations, and talk to people, because I think that's how we can reach these people who don't know what we're doing.
yeah, I agree. I think the awareness building is going to come from those community events, and I'm sure there's a calendar out there, and we can try to slot into some of that. And yeah, having the multiple listening sessions, I think, is going to build on it. I mean, I think their expectations going into the first one, but I think the more we're engaging the community, that'll kind of like have a snowball effect, or at least I would hope, to kind of get it outside of the people who, you know, are aware of this and really care about it, to other people who maybe don't realize this is something they might care about. And yeah, I'm happy to volunteer my time as much as possible too to help with that.
Me too. I would love to be involved in, going to events or like, there's so many like festivals and things like that that keep happening here around Salem. We could definitely do a little bit of outreach and, as part share a link or a QR code of the feedback form or something. Something can be done, like to have more people share their thoughts and feelings about this.
Yeah, I think just like everyone's mentioned, like it's gonna be a multi-pronged approach, right? Like it's not just gonna be the listening sessions, it's not just gonna be the public input form, it's gonna be like a combination of all the things, right? Um, so the farmers market are pretty straightforward. We can just aim to go to two of them or however many we want, but two seems reasonable. And there is also La Fiesta en la Calle, which is coming up, hosted by North Shore CDC, which is one of the best events to reach the Point neighborhood. Let me see when that is. I know it's
I just saw that because I just got an email from them, and one of my former students did a mural for them. They I think that's a great idea too, to go to communities that uh, that have a high population of marginalized folks in there, because I think they would really be interested to know that this is happening.
Yeah, so this is actually opportune timing because it's in 2 weeks. It's on the 14th. So we can arrange to be there. Um,
Are
I've
there-
I've done I've done it before. And typically we have to pay a fee unless we provide children's activity. So I don't know if
Unless we
anybody
provide what?
a children's activity.
Oh,
So I don't know if anybody can get creative and
well, they could draw their ideas for
oh my God.
a seal.
That's so
That
true.
would actually be really cute. Does
I
anybody have
happen to
art
have
supplies?
experience in working with younger populations and college-age people.
We have some
Um,
art supplies from our coalition. We could just we could give you guys, or I won't be back until I'm on a trip, but I'll be back in the beginning of July. So unfortunately I can't do any in-person events then, but happy to pass on some supplies as needed.
I would love to
And so you
coordinate
just get a
that
big pack of
activity.
those, couple packs of those markers at CVS and they love them. They're thrilled. And some copy paper.
Okay, so let me write this down. So I'll get an email thread going around signups and supplies. And hopefully we can arrange some coverage for that event. And then the farmers market will be straightforward. I'll just have to talk to Salem Main Streets about that and make sure I'm talking to the right people. Salem Arts Festival is next weekend, so that might be too last
Right.
minute, but I don't know if we feel
Hmm.
vicious.
Also, are there any Pride related events? I know folks at NAGLI, which is a nonprofit here on the North Shore that supports a lot of queer youth and
Yes,
I don't
there are
know.
tons of events. It's actually kind of hard to keep track of all the events. North Shore Pride is coming up, so we could definitely have at the very least a table. I do know there's a fee associated with tabling, so we'd have to navigate that because we don't necessarily have a budget. So I'll see if we can cover that somehow, but that would be on the 28th after. So I don't know if any of you have been to the Pride Parade, but basically like there's the parade and it ends at the Commons and you can table at the Commons. But there you do have to sign up and there's a fee associated.
So with these events, in addition to sort of evening meetings we would hold at City Hall Annex that are specific, okay, yeah, I just want
I think
to.
so.
Well, and then the forms too, right?
Yeah, the form will
The
just live on the
forms would
website
start right away,
24/7.
right? You're saying that like
Yes.
we'd start getting those as soon as it goes up on the.
So for the listening sessions, like, do we provide a prompt? Is that based on, or is it people can show up and share their opinion? Or
Ah, I've never done this the way that I've seen it be done is the city council style where it's kind of like open mic, like you just they just have a listening session and there's not really any prompt or anything. It's just like the topics that the community wants to bring.
but
I
we're not
think
supposed to
we
respond
forgot.
then and there, right? It's just their time to.
I don't know if we can.
I'm totally new to this, so I.
I mean, I have to say, like, I think the first session should definitely just be open, like everyone can say what they want to say. But I do think that, like, because it's going to be over the course of a year, I think that it might be good to direct the commentary or the input. Like, I think that, like, okay, one thing that I'm wondering is like if the people who are coming who have comments have like read any of the research that's been done, because that's also pretty dispiriting if like 6 months in, 8 months in, even people are saying the same things, and then we're like, oh, what did you think of this present, like any of the presentations, and then they're like, oh, I didn't, so I think that, I don't know, my personal suggestion would be, what if like later on, as we have more and more information and more of it is available, and we would be happy to also hand out like because we said we would do short infographics of each presentation, right? We can have them on hand. So it's like, oh, if you didn't even read it beforehand, like here's like some information. And then this is what we'll talk about. Like maybe the topic can be like, a review of like past seal changes and like what we think as a whole town about it, right? We have a lot of information, we have a lot of different opinions in the presentations, and we want to hear your thoughts. But then it isn't just like a repetition of the same kind of complaints, which is, I think, not really a great use of anyone's time, and also it's not, the whole point is to have like this open discussion where like new ideas are being introduced and yeah, and like aired, I guess.
Is it possible to have one of the listening sessions to ask people to speak about the work that we've presented so far? To like keep that focused on that particular listening session on the work that we've put online and we've done? Because I hear VJ about that presentation. I was going to say something and I didn't. That's a lot of work to put together all those images and then your little bulleted points that you're going to read. And that's, I probably spent a couple hours on that all told. And so to have people just totally talk about something else, because I think that there's going to be, if we're talking about, so we'll have what, 4 or 5 presentations after Rachel gives hers and then Professor Fiener gets his. That's a lot of meat to hash over. And it's also, I think, really broad. So people who don't like what I presented might like what Dr. Fiener presents, and they'll be able to address that. So I would think there'd be plenty to talk to if we just limited to that rather than just like Rachel saying, general comments about. The other thing I was going to ask about, because I wasn't paying attention, I'm sorry, when it was happening, but when the city council was talking with the Native community about the statement that was going to be introduced before all the meetings, there was a
The land
lot of,
acknowledgement. Yes.
yeah, there's a lot of neighborhood brouhaha about that. How did they get, did they have open sessions for that, or were those just the limited 2-minute comments?
So I think that was public comment, right? That was part of public comment, but and I wish Eileen was here because I think she would be able to provide a lot more detail to this. But I think you have public comment regularly in city council meetings, but it's limited to 10, 15 minutes, however long it is. And then occasionally there will be like a really hot topic, right? That just people feel really passionate about, and then they will plan a special meeting to sort of listen to more people, right? Um, and that's kind of like the extent of what I know, but what I remember from the land acknowledgement is I think it was more public comment style.
So people had 2 minutes and then that was it. The mic got cut off.
Mm-hmm.
See, I hate to do that because there's, or at least if we have to do that. But to have perhaps even a dialogue where someone can respond, respond to what they had to say.
Well, and I think we talked previously about the frequently asked questions sheet that would be continually updated where, we've got those emails in, they bring up some questions. I think there's some common questions there. If we break that down into what were the most frequently asked questions within that, answer that, in a sheet. And then after this listening session, and maybe it is truly just a listening session to gather and hone more of those frequently asked questions, give our responses to that, and then maybe there's a discussion section down in the future. But I think, and we also talked about having that sheet be linked to, linked wherever like the public feedback form sheet is, so that we don't get public feedback that's already been answered by a frequently asked question. It's
Mm,
sort of like a,
right.
this is there, we've answered that already. And that would be a way to hone some of those answers in, and as well just keep our, public input sessions to be efficient. And as well within that, there's, we can include links to each meeting's video and minutes, as a way for people to have a one-stop shop to find it all in one spot. Because I feel like we do have some frequent questions that have already come up in a couple times, and that could be something that we immediately add. And then after our listening session, we add more or refine more and just continue it on from there.
Yeah, and that's a great point, right? Like whatever we learn from these listening sessions, we can respond creatively, whether on the website or we can address it in a future meeting. I am getting some guidance from Beth, the city solicitor, and she's saying that in her experience, listening sessions are just that, listening, right? So typically, she would equate this to the public hearings that the planning board and city council have when they're proposing a new city zoning ordinance. So like that's what she would compare it to. There's public comment, right? Just like we're talking about, but there isn't necessarily a back and forth, right? Um, so, um, she's also saying there might be a question that the council directs to staff about the proposal, but I don't know how that would work in this case. I don't know if that would apply to us. And otherwise it would just be listening. So I'm asking her if it's possible to have more of a facilitated conversation. And if that's been done, and she said that she'd have to think about that. So, but she's asking what the purpose of a facilitated conversation would be. So I guess we would just have to think about what our goal is, right? Like if our goal is to just purely have a listening session where we just do just that, listen, then I suggest we go with the model that the planning board and the city council uses. But if we want something else for whatever reason, then we need to be specific about what we want and what we want it to look like.
I think to start, I mean, definitely the listening session or a series of them, but there might be an opportunity down the line where we might decide we want something that's, I mean, maybe not interactive, but even just to ask follow-up questions. Like we want to be able to do that if it was purely listening, just to understand where someone might be coming from. Like I could see that being an opportunity we might want.
I also want to add to that, like, could the comments be one on record, to like the public comments be on record, or there be a certain follow, say we have a listening session where folks say a lot of things about like their thoughts and feelings about all the things that they feel is going well and it isn't going well, right? Could we do a follow-up public, like listening, referencing those and how they've been addressed, or referencing like here are materials that like we give you to refer to, and or follow up on, like, I remember X, Y, and Z said this thing about the seal. Here's how we addressed it. Have you had a chance to think about it? What do you think now? Have you had a chance to see this presentation, or have you had the chance to, I don't know, like read this infographic? There like wherever we're looking for facilitation, I think I'm just curious about like how we can like fine tune that and make it more effective in our listening sessions, from one to the next one.
Yeah, Didi, I think that's actually exactly the idea behind the frequently asked question sheet. That would be a place where we can put, I mean, we're essentially citing our sources within that by giving our response to a frequently asked question. It's an opportunity for us to link to, and this is where it's been answered. We can give a quote or link to a presentation if that covers the answer. But just trying to give as much info as an answer to these frequently asked questions, I think would be in the same vein, I think, of what you're mentioning there.
Okay. Because I'm where I don't want listening sessions to turn into like like getting scolded, like scolding sessions, like you're not doing this right over and over and over again. Like Rachel also said before, like if 6 months or 8 months down the line, we're still like being like told the same thing, that's not going to be a productive use of anyone's time.
But we also have to find a way to after let them know they were heard and if there's any action items versus, oh, they're just kind of like talking and it's, kind of more of that. So how do we balance?
Right.
Well, and
Yeah.
one of the criticisms in the emails was that we weren't being transparent enough. So to make sure that we are as much as is possible.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
think
I think we will definitely have tried to be as transparent as we possibly can be. We've been posting the recordings online, like not even city council does that, right? Like you have to request the recordings, right? And we've defaulted to that. And like I think we're definitely we're all about transparency. That's what we identified in the values. So definitely every opportunity that we can to provide more information, I think we are all in favor of embracing, right? I think, oh, I lost my train of thought, but I was gonna respond to something about the listening. Oh yes, the it's not like the listening sessions are just venting sessions. Like we can discuss it during an upcoming meeting, or like a regular meeting where it's like, oh, this came up during the listening session. Like, let's talk about it. But in terms of like reaching out to one specific person, like I'd have to ask Beth, but I think it would be reasonable for us to collect information like emails and then potentially like one of us could respond to specific person, like maybe they said, oh, have you considered this specific history of the seal? Like I think you would really change your mind on XYZ if you learned about this. And then perhaps we can say like, oh, actually on VJ's presentation on this date he covered it, right? Like so maybe we can do something like that. I don't know. I'd have to double check that's permissible, but I think that would be reasonable.
Let's just do the first listening session and then kind of build from there. I think we're going to learn a lot by just right showing up and
Correct.
I think
giving the opportunity.
we also need to think about like so for example like what's our kind of like, because I think it would be good to go in with sort of a plan for the next year. If we talked about doing quarterly listening sessions, but it's not just that people would only be able to talk to us every 4 months or 3 months. It would be that, there'd be a listening session every 3 months, but then there would be us at tables at specific events that would be publicly listed so they could talk to us then. And, potentially we would do one or two more like discussion sessions, right? Which I think would be a nice, I mean, I think maybe Regina, you're right about this separation between like a proper kind of city mandated listening session and then something else, because I'm sure that there are people who have questions, people who haven't made up their minds and just want to like talk it out, right? And that's a different forum than people who just want to say what they think, right? So I don't know, I'm just trying to think about like how we can, I mean, I'm not sure when we have to do this by, but it feels like we should do this pretty soon because it's already June and we started in March to come up with this schedule. And, of course, if like something happens and we're like, yeah, we didn't stick to the schedule exactly, it's like at least it's a guideline for us, right?
Perfect. Okay, so then I guess just to move the conversation forward, let's go ahead and just plan the listening session, and then we can pivot if we find that we don't want to do that format again or whatever the case might be, right? Okay, so I think we were looking at Mondays in the evening, unless people think that they feel passionate that it should be on a different day.
Works
As
for
long
me.
as it's in the
Mondays are the
evening.
best days for me from my work schedule.
Great. Okay, so then in the evening, so I'm guessing like 7 p.m. Is that reasonable?
On the 6th or on the 16th?
So the 16th is our meeting. Wait, hold on. Yes, so the 16th is our meeting. I suggest we don't do it that day for that reason.
Okay.
So I would suggest actually like the 30th or the 7th of July.
See, the
Sounds-
7th is better for me. And this is, we're talking virtual, or are we talking in person?
Both.
So we're leaning towards hybrid.
Hybrid.
Mhm.
Do we know, I know just because we've tried, we've attempted to do hybrid meetings before with the Historic Commission, and it's never really worked out, a lot of technical issues. Do we have the city's got the ability to do this, and we're confident in that?
So I've done hybrid meetings. I am fairly confident in my own ability, but I'm hesitant because it's at 7 p.m. So if there is an issue, there won't be an IT person to turn to. So maybe just for that point, it should be fully one or the other. Yeah.
I mean, for the sake of transparency and availability, I think maybe doing it online might be better to begin with.
Okay.
We might get a lot of people, but that might be the opportunity. Maybe we then put a time limit on it to make some of the comments more succinct, because I can imagine, people get on a roll and they might just go and go and go. And it might be a pretty vitriolic comment that just goes for 10 minutes. But if it's a matter of, if we have 50 people that are, in attendance and they're all going to want to say something.
I mean,
Uh,
before we like go to one or the other, I just want to ask, like, what would a hybrid setup look like? Would some of us be online, or if we would be have Zoom? Because I've taught hybrid classes, and what you do is I show up in a classroom, pull up my laptop, and pull up Zoom, and so folks can hear me on Zoom, and whoever's in person in that classroom can also see me talk. So half of us can be like in person and half of us can be on Zoom.
So it is very similar to what you just described. It would just be like in a conference room in the City Hall Annex. Unless I'm able to book the CLC, but then the technology becomes a bigger factor because I'm not as familiar with their setup. Um, but yeah, it's basically just like a room. Instead of looking at me right now, you'd be looking at a room, and in theory, people could show up in person and just speak in the room, and you'd be able to hear it.
it's
How do you think we'd get more people? Which one?
Maybe definitely not just in person, right? Like I think we're all on the same page about that. I think hybrid or virtual are the most convenient.
the big thing with hybrid too is just making sure that those that are attending online can hear the questions and the responses that people in the room are saying. I know that's been a big shortcoming in the past, is someone asks a question, but those online are like, huh, what? I missed that entirely. Or
We can be intentional about repeating the question and directing all of that. I've had those problems with classrooms too, where somebody asked a question in the Zoom chat and nobody else but me could see the Zoom chat, you know? And also like typically my follow-up to that also is that how long do we want the response? Is it a minute? Is it 2 minutes? Is it 5 minutes? Like how long do we let people talk?
I say we don't limit it unless we so typically I have to check with Eileen on how this works, but typically you have a sign up ahead of time and you then limit it depending on how many people are signed up, right? But let's plan for an hour of listening session, right? And then we can divide the time depending on how many people signed up.
Okay. I'm worried that might not work because like I've been at council meetings where comments went on and someone had to be actually requested to stop, like, please, summarize it and move on. And I planned my time to be 2 minutes when I talked, and so I ended at 2 minutes and barely it does give some, I it does give some way of organizing thought as well. Like
Oh, I see your point. Okay. Because
like
you don't want to just that's true. Like you don't necessarily want to give people like, oh, you have an hour, you know what I mean? So
yeah, or like when you show up and if it's 4 people, you say, oh, you have say 20 minutes each versus oh, there's 15 people, then you only have like if we have a preset, like we don't have to be as skimpy as like 2 minutes only, but maybe we could be more than that, but not.
Yeah, like I'll range like
No.
2 to 5 minutes or whatever feels like
Yeah,
would be
some
reasonable.
yeah,
variation.
I like that actually. Now that you've explained it that way, yes. Let's just say like the guidance is like no more than is 5 minutes too long? Like
I
is
feel like 4 minutes maybe is 5 is longer than you think when you're
no
like
more than
listening to
That's
someone.
right.
Yeah,
And
the folks who
also
did
the
the
other
20-minute
thing about,
presentation should know, right? Like that was a long time.
well, the other thing is that'll force them to put their thoughts in order too and not ramble. Like if they know they only have 5 minutes, they're not going to be going all over the place for 20 or thinking that way. They might even like come in with some note cards or something.
Hey, Rahina, is this an opportunity for the associate members who are still trying to kind of figure
Yes.
out a spot for them to engage, and maybe we could try to get them to show up or just be part of the listening?
I love that you asked that. And yes, we will want to invite them and encourage them to give, um, yeah, to give public comment.
Can we give them priority in the lineup?
I don't think we can give them priority. We'll just, we'll listen to everybody who's there. You know what I mean? Like that.
Hmm. Okay.
I mean that it gets really complicated if we have like 100 people, right? Because then that means we either have to extend the time or reschedule. Like I don't want to like create scenarios that are unlikely, right? But like that would be a serious issue. Like we would need to
Is
I
there a way? Is there a way to know beforehand if we're going to get 100 people? Like, can
well,
we
that's where
ask?
the sign up can be.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how city council does it, is like you have up to, again, I wish Eileen was here because I don't know the restrictions, but like I think you have up to like 2 hours before the meeting to sign up.
And would we have to go in that order of which they were signed up?
That was typically
I don't know.
how public comments for council meetings was.
Okay, thank you.
There's an order in which you sign up, and whoever signs up, like first come, first serve.
Yes, that sounds right. Thank you, Aditi.
And for the associate members, they're effectively just part of the public. Is that right?
Yes, and that's why we can't say like, oh, you go first. You know what I mean? Like it'd be like whoever signed up first. It'd be
Yeah.
giving somebody priority.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I feel, I mean, this might be a dumb question, but if they're associate members and they were selected to be associate members, but we can't give them priority within the public forum that they're there for, I just feel like, what are they if they're not associate members?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you, VJ, and that's the feedback. Oh my God. Sorry, I don't know if you heard that, but my dog just chased a squirrel. The mayor, sorry, the city solicitor told me um that we can't treat the associate members as being different than the public. So I'm very frustrated with how that whole situation played out personally. Like I won't get into it, but I completely agree with the sentiment that you just expressed.
Yeah. I just feel I don't know. I know a lot of them have felt very strongly. That's why they, put their name forward to be associate members, but I share your frustration, Rita. It's as simple as that.
And weren't we supposed to have someone who was 18 years old also on the?
Yeah, so I do have an update on that. So we are supposed to have somebody who's under 18, like a youth member. And the superintendent did get in touch with me recommending somebody, and I reached out to the student, and it has been radio silence. So I guess if would they respond at some point, they'll join. But yeah, so far no response.
So the associate members could not, for example, like help us if we were doing one of these public outreaches, like a casual public outreach. They would just be like, sorry, you can't help us table. It's just the inner circle. Is that what I'm hearing?
I
Can you say
get
that again? I'm
that.
sorry.
I was just wondering, like, because we want to do some like kind of public outreaches at community events, and they wouldn't be able to join us for that in any official capacity. They have to just be like a member of the public who just comes by.
I don't
I
think so.
think
Sorry.
Well, I think so, but I don't know. What were you gonna say, Aditi? I'm sorry for interrupting.
I was just saying that, like, I mean, you could be a member of the public and still want to help out and volunteer your time and like doing stuff with you. Like, what would that would be? Or would you have to get special permission from the mayor's office to be like, hey, I want to be like, I want to help out hand out these flyers. I want to sit at the table with this city seal task force member. Would that be what would
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
a good
understand.
question for, I guess, associates and the general public if we need volunteers since we're a small group.
And it's also too, you know, if we're going to be there at one of the tables and there are associate members there, is a conversation going to be happening? Are they going to be giving information that, you know, as an associate member, are they allowed to give their opinion in that way? And then it's, if they're behind the table giving that info, is that then seen as the stand of the commission or us task force? Is that from, you know, our perspective, do we share that perspective if they say X, Y, or Z as an associate member?
We'll
If they
need to
can't
stick
even
to the
be,
FAQs.
yeah, I guess, yeah.
Right. Also, because like there's also an issue of absentee members, right? Like there are certain folks who can't physically be here, or folks who haven't attended all our meetings within our quorum either. And what happens? Like I'm just wondering, you know, that's a great question, Vijay. Like, how do
Yeah.
we? Yeah.
Because I also don't want it to just be, to your point, Pucci, because I see it, I 100% agree. But I also don't want to be like, you know, have them ask a question and just hand them the FAQ and like, sorry, I can't say anything, you know.
Or maybe even not that, like opining that aside, like, yeah, if we need people just collect input with us or something, right? There's no conversation element, right? It's just something even, yeah, getting, yeah, something that has nothing to do with maybe any of our personal opinions or the opinion of the group. Yeah, what are the guardrails?
I I don't so I don't know. I feel like you're
Yeah.
asking a lot
Yeah.
of questions
Yeah.
that I can give you my best guess, but I would have to talk to the city solicitor to like know what the official guidance is. My my thinking is like we're there to give information about the task force, right? So like we can just have an open conversation around like the information that is available to us, right? Like I think VJ's point it gets a little bit more complicated around like can we have associate members volunteer and would doing so create a problem? Like I again the guidance that has been drilled into me by the city solicitor is we have to treat them as we would any other member of the public, right? So any opportunities that we give the associate members, we have to give other members of the public. So I guess in theory, if we were to, you know, ask anyone to volunteer their time on this task force table, we could ask the associate members as well. Um,
Then
but
what's the
that's
point? What's the point of having associate member? Like, you know, like I'm just so confused because, like, is it then like the task intensive aspects that then like handing out is their job only to do tasks that we're asking, like handing out flyers or creating like
Like, that's not even clear.
it's so unclear. Yeah.
so I think again, I wish I could be more candid, but I feel like
Sure.
I can't. But because I've had multiple conversations internally where I express these same frustrations, right? Um, and I think it was kind of one of those things that the mayor wanted to recognize the associate members since they applied to be on the task force, but they weren't named, they weren't selected, right? Ultimately for whatever reason. And so he was thinking that we could reach out to them whenever we wanted like an extra opinion or an extra support. But I think at the time when he did that, he didn't realize or like the limits or the very real limits around open meeting law, right? And I think since then, like the city solicitor has explained it over and over to me, like, because I kept asking these questions, like, can we do this? And can we involve them in this way? Can we do that? Can I add them to the agenda and promote them to panelists? And that way we can speak it. She's like, you would have to do that for every member of the public. Like any opportunity you give to the associate members, you have to give to to every member of the public.
I see.
Yeah. So that's kind of what that's a summary of the explanation I've been given.
And what about community, like, so for example, I'm gonna use a very specific situation. Say we do decide to do a little like activity for children to draw their imagination of what the city seal would look like. Say we did that activity. Would it have to only be organized by the task force members then? Or like could other people volunteer their time?
Um, I suppose we could have anyone from the public volunteer their time if I guess I've just never done that. I'd have to yeah, I'm gonna say I think so, but we
I
just
think
have
so.
to yeah, get more guidance around how to do that.
Yeah.
So, okay, I guess let's just move the conversation forward. I know we're getting like stuck on all these side conversations. So, okay, so far I have July 7th at 7 p.m. I think we were talking hybrid or completely virtual. After all of that back and forth, I'm thinking maybe to just reduce the stress factor, can we start with making it completely virtual? Would people be okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with
Okay.
that.
I'm good.
And so we're limiting to no more than 4 minutes. It's a listening session style. And then figure out sign up ahead of time. Anything else?
All over Zoom. Yeah, they can sign up ahead of time, I guess. What was it, up to 2 hours before or something like that before the meeting starts type of thing?
Yeah, that's what the city council does, so I think we can just replicate that. Um,
Is it the
Yeah.
standard communication channels, like the newsletters or people who've opted into notifications? Like how will this first one get out to people?
we'll put it on social media, the
Okay.
city social media, and
Are these listening sessions public record? Will they be?
yes, they will be recorded and just they'll be posted just like all of these meetings. And in fact, we'll need to figure out how to capture what is being said other than a recording. So probably a minutes situation. Okay. Um, okay, anything else? Okay, so I think we can move on to the next agenda item, which is, I think, just a closing the discussion around the addressing misinformation. So I think it was more around like the public statement or the press release. Rachel, I know you put together an infographic, so do you want to start our discussion with that?
Yeah, can you share that actually? Because I sent you a screenshot.
Oh,
Do you mind? I feel like I can't, I mean, like, can I share my screen or can I share a single image? Oh, maybe.
I think you can share screen.
yeah, you should be able to. share screen. Do you
Yeah, hold on.
have that option?
I'm just trying to find it.
Because I don't know if I have it handy.
It's okay. Here we go. Okay, so this is just something I drafted, which can, everything is open to change. Okay, but I just threw it together. This has basically exactly the same information that we talked about in the letter. I just made some sentences shorter so that it would be less difficult to read. And then I also added the why question because I felt like that was probably everyone's first question, like, why are we reconsidering the seal? But yeah, it's a little messy right now, and I'm gonna make it a little bit cuter, but let's get the general information first. Let me know if I need to zoom in on any text.
Yeah, the white on the blue is a little hard to read. If you could just kick that up. Thank you.
Or just make the point size a little larger when you, oh, this is just
Yeah,
rough
yeah.
draft.
This is
isn't
not a
the
final version,
Okay.
but like let's not, yeah. I'll worry about that once we have the text. It's also like an no, not A4. It's 8.5 by 11. So this is actually like, I think it's like 14-point font. It's gonna be super big when it's printed.
Plaster these up all over telephone poles and all that.
Yeah, why not? I mean, we can also make, for the tables, we can make like a little card version, like a card size version with like a QR code to our like web page. If people want to like then look at the information online, if anyone is looking at our research.
Wait, can you scroll back up? I know I'm being a pain here.
I
Sorry.
know,
It's
this is the
fine,
top
it's fine.
part.
Yeah, okay.
This is exactly the same text that we talked about in the letter. I basically like cut and copied and then took out a couple of the words to make it a little bit shorter.
Yeah, I think the Y needs a little bit more. I feel like that's missing.
Okay, like what would you suggest? I'm just gonna write it in now and then I'll just worry about making it look nice later.
Well, just more specific. It just feels very like general. You don't get the
Well, I wanted to be cautious, so that's
yeah.
why I brought it to you guys so
Yeah.
that you can suggest some text. Any suggestions for sentences you want to add?
You know, it's
Yeah.
I mean, it's that balance between how
Exactly.
specific we want to get versus making it resonate a little bit more with folks. I don't know, just
Right. Like
yeah.
I don't want it to be like I don't want it to appear at all biased, but I want it to be like factual. So this is where the whole group can get involved.
Yeah, so I think just you can add more detail to the fact that the Race Equity Commission then voted unanimously to recommend that the city council consider changing the seal, and then
Mm-hmm.
subsequently the city council then created this task force.
Okay, I will change I'll add more periods in there. Okay, unanimously to for the fat task to appoint the task force.
No, to recommend to the city council. To
Okay, we have to make it things short though, but I can shorten it later. Because it's like I know what you mean, but you want to be precise, but it's like people can only read like a short sentence. On an infographic, the point is that it's like
I guess that
Well, can I ask
Yeah.
a question? Because I'm unaware of like, so is this literally going on telephone poles like VJ said, or will this get mailed to us like the Haunted Happenings survey that comes to every household automatically in your email? Or the trash pickup or the recycle, so that every household, in other words, gets a copy in their email?
There is I can ask the mayor's office around including it in the mailer. I don't know what the process is for that, but I do know that, you know, for the Salem 400 stuff, we did include a mailer. Yeah, I can check with the mayor's office on that, but I think we were just gonna use it in events that we attend and like put it on the website, just wherever we can, really.
See, one of the things so I'm not on any social media by choice, but I do get those emails from the city, almost like whether I want them or not, to tell me news, and that's how I learn about like 90% of the stuff that's going to happen in the city, and that's also an area where I haven't heard a word about um, our task force and what we're doing. So I think that would be a way to, like, if we're trying to just broaden our reach, to be able to plug into whatever that email system is and send a copy of this to everybody so that they at least know that it's happening.
Yeah.
I think
I
if
think
it's
so down here,
possible, that's part of it, right? I think this could be part of it, but we could also hand out this flyer, post it on telephone poles. Absolutely. I have the
I
whole
think
thing
that
here for
so
that.
the idea is like this will be pretty short. I just want it to be like a very simple sentence, and then down here, if it's in an email, it can be a live link that has like you can go to our our page on the Salem .gov site, or it can be a QR code if it is a poster. So like everything, like more information is like available here. But if you're just like, I want a quick, rundown of like what's going on, it's here and it's easy and it's in like accessible language also, right? Like Lexile level is like low.
I think
Yeah.
2 sentences is like for each of these paragraph blurbs is probably more
Yeah,
than I
like
want. Like if I'm really curious about it, I'll
I
go look it
agree.
up, you know?
I agree. I think that this is just this sentence in particular just has to be shorter. And yeah, okay, wait, Regina, please go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, to that end, maybe you can just period after the Race Equity Commission, and then the city council then created a task force.
Okay.
Something to
But here we have
Yeah,
the,
it's up there. Yeah.
it's
Oh,
there
okay. Well, then
technically,
just
so if,
erase that second part and just put period
right, like
after.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Uh,
that's
And
good.
then,
I
and
just a quick question for or maybe potentially addition into the why. Um,
mhm, please.
uh, brought the imagery of the figure into question before the city council. Question about what?
I mean,
What was it?
again, this is part of our delicate balance of being like, we don't want to bias people, but we don't like also it has to be a short answer. So
No,
what do
no.
you guys want to say?
Well, just be, if there was a question that was brought up from the AAPI community, and that's sort of the driver of us being a task force. So what was the question?
Maybe
I'd
the
like,
appropriate, like something about like the appropriateness. Let's use a better grammatical phrasing.
Symbolism or
Something like
something around there.
this.
Yeah.
yeah, just something that gives a sense as to, well, what's the question about it? Why was it brought
Okay,
up?
okay.
What was the whole
So
idea for
I'll
us being
find
here?
something that says like appropriate, and I'll
That's a good word.
but I will find this later when I'm looking at a thesaurus, and then I can send this out by email so everyone can see it, before we send it to a million
And the
people.
other thing you might add, I'm sorry to keep packing and stuffing in one more word, but we're talking about this in a contemporary sense because I think a lot of people are thinking we're going to lose our history. It sounds like to me if we recommend that this be altered, but we're talking about the now, the imagery of the figure now. So I don't
Mm,
I don't know how
you
you would
mean
word,
like, okay, you mean like in 2025, yeah.
or the word contemporary or the word now or the word,
Mm-mm.
what I'm like, just
I
a word
I
that's
do understand, and I will word this, yes. How about this part? Does everyone feel okay about this? Um,
Yeah, I think
That's great.
that's
that
great.
seems like
that's
pretty
good.
accurate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this again, I just threw that in, but like, what do we think about this can also be shorter?
Well, I do think actually this is the how do I get involved is a perfect segue into those QR codes, links, whatever, to be like, this is their let's see, in person at our community listening sessions, or speak to us at our tables, see below for our schedule and more information.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can because that's going to be, I feel like, be changing or could be changing. And if we keep our most recent updates through the QR code or the link that they would then follow, that might be the best
Yeah.
way.
I like that a
Okay.
lot. It's like an invitation. It's like an open invitation to
Mm-hmm.
people. I would also add again, as the cyber peasant on the technology peasant on the committee, not everybody, like people my age don't do QR codes. I know what they are and I've used them, but I not very much. And some of my friends don't at all. So I might have multiple ways in addition to the QR code for people that they can just click on a link or.
Yeah.
Do
I
we?
think we could have the link just like written out. So either way, like it's a live link when it's a digital file, but if you print it, it's still there if you're just like,
Right.
I want to know what it is, and then there's a QR code. So either way that you receive it, you can decide how that works for you.
Now the form
Is there
right though.
anything else?
Yeah, thanks for pulling this together.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
again,
That's-
I'll work on it. But if there's anything else you think of or want to add, like please let me know. And I'll try to finish it. Let's say we're putting everything out. Regina, is that going to be next Monday? Do we want to do it by the end of this week? Either way.
If this is the final version, which I'm not, like it sounds like we're gonna make some edits and add some QR codes. But once it's finalized, we can pretty much get it on the website as soon as possible. I'll translate it into Spanish.
Mhm.
It's just before I make that effort, I like to make sure that it's final because there's nothing worse than having to change a translation. It's just very time consuming. And then we can just, yeah, and post it in as many places as we deem appropriate.
Hey, just one more
Sounds
small
good.
comment. I know this is, I mean, not silly. The acronym AAPI might not, we should probably write it out.
Oh, yes, you're
Yeah,
right.
not
You're
everyone
right.
might know what
That
that's
is
for.
that is a very good point. I feel like that's actually come up a lot.
Asian
Yeah.
American Pacific Island. Yes, maybe we should, I guess this is just a larger question. Should we just say the Asian community because it has caused some confusion? Like I've been explaining it quite a bit around like why it's a more inclusive term and it's Asian American Pacific Islander. But it's not necessarily common knowledge, to Poochie's point.
Well,
I
let's
think
say
you should
Asian
leave the
American
Asian.
because
Yeah.
we're definitely like, yeah, I think it's also denotes that these are people who live here who are citizens and they're not just, I don't know. I think one argument could be made that they're like people who are just visiting or something, but I want to just stress that they're
Yeah, I
like,
think that's really important because to say that, I think I mentioned this to Rachel. I've had people like walking on my daily walk on the street run out of their houses to come talk to me. And one comment, which I thought I could hardly believe, was there is no Asian community in Salem.
Oh, wow.
And I said, I know these are my neighbors.
It's just
And
like,
and so I
people,
said,
come on.
well, this would be a good thing for you to maybe sort of start to follow, so you can meet some of your, because they had the same thing that what Rachel's, they didn't know what AAPI stood for. And I'm actually hoping that Rachel will do that thing for her presentation where she brings in faces from the AAPI community so people who think that can see everyone that lives in Salem with them. But I wonder if there's a way, like, I keep stuffing in a new word, sorry, Rachel, but like maybe the Salem AAPI community to make it
Yeah,
specific.
no, that's
that
a very good point. I will
It's
add
not
that as
people from
well.
Boston coming up
Sam,
here and rabble
yeah.
rousing.
Right, right. Yeah, that's a good point. And it's like also very, yeah, it's very precise.
So
Maybe
I'm
you do- Sorry.
sorry, just going back to an earlier point, because I'm trying to text the city solicitor around like the associate member question. And yeah, just I guess for just to make it as clear as we possibly can, like in open meeting law, there's no such thing as associate members. That's why it like that's kind of like the short of it, you know what I mean? Is like that's why we have to treat them like members of the public. So again, like I just I want to apologize on behalf of the city for the just the conflict that and frustration that has caused, because I have felt that same frustration myself.
So are they here now, like as silent witnesses? Are they watching us?
Pretty much, some of them, I think.
Hi.
I mean, I know we did read in some of their qualification. They had the introductions that we read in at the first meeting, so.
That's true.
Well, they also gave, so when Jeff Cohen asked me to give a little 30-second introduction to myself at City Hall that night to the city council, I met all three of them. They came and also, just like everybody else was there, gave a little 30-second introduction to themselves. They're a great bunch.
Yeah. I mean, I think, for our purposes, we can definitely encourage them. In fact, I was I was already planning on doing that, on telling them like, hey, there's a listening session coming up. Please sign up. We really want your perspective, which I know we all do, right? Like, I think for so many reasons, like all of the associate members or associate members that were appointed, like we really do want to hear from them.
Yeah, especially from the expertise that they have. That's why I guess, I mean, if we can't make them a priority at the listening session, at least just, I guess, hoping that we get to them, in the list.
Right, they were, or maybe they could give a presentation as outside, because they were really impressive, VJ. When I was reading their credentials, they're very an impressive group. Like, could we do that? Have them give a presentation the way we all have?
I mean, I guess that's also asking the public effectively to do the same.
Yeah, so
Oh,
again,
right.
this was something this was something I specifically asked, because I was like, maybe we can include them in every agenda and have them be panelists. That's actually a suggestion I floated, just for everyone's.
But aren't we allowed to invite outside experts? I'd maybe,
Yes, so we are
because
allowed
I
to do
seem
that.
to remember reading that somewhere, that we could invite outside experts.
Yes, we are allowed to do that. We would just have to be very specific as to why we're asking a specific associate member and like what their expertise is, right? We can't just say like, hey, this person, because
Can that
we
be
want
a
to.
future agenda topic in terms of kind of thinking, or just being a little more focused on bringing some more external voices? Because there's some inherent bias of even just kind of this group that's in some way self-selected, right? And everyone has a point of view, and I really appreciate the work that's been done and presented. But I do wonder if, again, getting to that balance of bringing in experts who really don't have any skin in the game.
Absolutely. I'll add an agenda item for that, Uchi, and I think that's a good suggestion.
I think one of the other things that was brought up with someone I know is that how young everybody is on the group, and they haven't lived in Salem very long. And I said, well, I'm 70 and I've lived here for 35 years. But I don't know how to address those kind of criticisms really, because I think the other way of looking at it is we've crossed the stage, we're shuffling off the wings, and it's all younger people that are coming to live in Salem, and these are the ones who should be able to talk about what they want and how they want to see the city represented. So
Yeah, I mean, I think, we are limited with the social demographics of this task force. And at the same time, like, I think that doesn't mean that we won't do our best to include other perspectives. I think that's true of every single board and commission in the city, right? Like it's pretty, yeah, I think it's something that we always have to be mindful of, right? Is listening to other perspectives. And I think that that's also the case for the city council, the planning board. Like in fact, in some ways, we are more representatives than the average city commission, I would argue. So yeah, just kind of responding to that. Okay, I think the only thing we have left to discuss is the public statement, which I think we were very close to approving last meeting, but we wanted to discuss further in depth in today's meeting. So let me see if I can open that up really quick, just to remind everybody what we were considering. One second. Okay. So that's what we have so far. I think I wrote down infographic, include public input form. And that's as far as I got in the notes.
can we make it big like we did with
Yeah,
Rachel's?
Yes.
I'm struggling a little
I'm
bit.
sorry. I don't know why that
No, I even,
happened.
none of it, I think that's a small font for all of us, I think.
Okay, hold on. Just give me a second.
That's not just me,
Not at all.
my presobia.
Oh my gosh, hold on.
And if we're issuing a press release, are we prepared if there's media attention to this?
Well,
What?
I think the idea of a press to get media attention. What's your point?
Yeah, I mean, okay, cool. So that's a yes.
All right, I'm really struggling, y'all. Just give me 1 second.
Do you want to just read it to us?
I'm avoiding that if I can. Let me just figure this out.
I'm just saying if there's something that goes beyond just like a pickup propagation of the release, does it just get turned over to like the city's media office to get handled?
I guess it depends on the situation, but yes, in very general terms, Lisa Peterson, the mayor's chief of staff, is kind of like the communications person, the default communications person. But I imagine she would then, like, let's say there's a question from the Salem News, right? Like, she would refer the matter to us, and involve the mayor.
Okay.
All right, so I think I was able to make it a little larger. Just 1 second. Okay.
Oh, good. Much better.
It looks great to me.
Perfect. Is there anything we wanted to include before, sorry, in, in addition to the infographic or the input form? I'm just noticing that I started a note to include something else there and didn't finish it, so I wonder if that was something important.
No, I think keeping it simple and very specific to one or two actions, which would be, give the feedback or just, I don't know.
And
And the
I mean, I think
infographic
maybe
is our poster, what we just looked at that Rachel made, right?
Yep,
Correct.
that's the,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'm wondering if you're including was like the Google Drive, like I mean, because that is part of this
Oh,
whole
yes,
letter,
that's
right?
what it was. You're 100% right. So if that's up, I will include that there. Great. I will make myself a note so that I don't forget. Great. So then that'll be our little statement, and I'll include the information that we just identified for the listening session and the infographic and the public input form.
Sorry,
And
did we
then our
land on a
next
date for
meeting-
this session? Sorry.
We said July
7th.
7th?
July
7th
7th.
at 7 p.m., completely virtual. Public testimony limited at no more than 4 minutes. Listening session style, and signing up to 2 hours ahead of time.
And so this just to clarify, this press release and the infographic stuff will go out before this listening session. Okay, great.
Do we want to put in there though that, because we're going to have a meeting before then with our 2 more presentations, right? We want people to watch those. We have a meeting before that July 7th, don't we, where we're going to have the 2 Rachel and Dr. Feener, we're going to
Yes.
present.
Yeah, the
Um,
16th.
So
what's your point, Suzanne, that we should include that in
or
the,
maybe encourage them to go watch that meeting, so they'll have, remember, we're saying we wanted them to have something that they could, something firm that they could talk about, rather than just, sort of, so that they actually had looked at some of the research and the presentations and the.
so we did discuss that, but I think we landed on just listening sessions, right?
Okay.
So in other words, there's not going to be a prompt, there's not going to be a facilitator. Like, it's pretty much just going to be like public comment, open mic, like the people come and can come and tell us whatever they want about the city seal. And I guess also just another reminder, this is not a back and forth, right? So we won't be able to respond to people during the meeting, right? Like, we can respond during our next regular meeting. We can potentially even collect their emails if that's allowed, and email them some information after the fact.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it'll help us to distill those comments will help us to distill into the FAQs, the frequently asked questions. I'm
Mhm.
sure that'll give us a good head start.
Is it going to be an hour?
It's going to be an hour. Yes, that's what I'm planning for.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so thank you so much. We got through that. All right, so I think moving on, the last
I
item.
love your cat, by the way. Sorry.
I know.
Made her
So
appearance.
cute.
Bruja, no, not bruja, brucha.
That's it. Yep, Brucha, exactly.
Looks
The-
like
Hey,
somebody's hungry. It's dinner time.
It is dinner time, exactly. I do have, oh, she's letting me know. I know, baby. Get away from the books.
Oh my God, I love black cats.
She
They're my favorite.
caused so much trouble. I love her.
There's a Salem 400 black cat plushie that you can get at the Witch House and at Destination Salem. So just throwing that out there.
Oh, no way. Oh, that's so cool.
Very city official of you, Rahina.
Yes. No, plugging in the city for the Salem 400. Okay, so The last item on the agenda is just new business. Does anybody have anything that they'd like to include in the next agenda? I think I did write down Poochie's item around having a conversation around bringing in outside experts, so that's on my radar. Anything else?
I just wanted to ask, with the infographic, do we need to approve it at the next meeting? Is that like the official protocol, or should I just send it out and be like the minutes and be like,
Oh,
you
we
know?
should put it to a vote. It's probably a best practice.
Okay, so
yeah.
in 2 weeks we'll do that.
Yeah, well, I'll
Great.
just put it into the agenda. Vote on infographic and bringing in outside experts. Anything else? Aditi, did you have something?
Yeah, I mean, one thing is like, could we ask about AI again? I'm worried. Like, one, if I'm absent, then who becomes the note taker? Two, um, I hear everyone say like, if there are details or content that you wish that I had more of, I am happy to do that. It's just my style of writing, so I want to make sure that it incorporates everybody, and like let me know. Um,
Yeah, if you miss
And
a meeting, we would have to assign someone else to take minutes.
okay,
We would just have to figure that out as it
okay,
happens. I'll ask about AI. I did ask about it officially when when this task force started, because I had the same exact idea around like, well, let's just have AI take minutes. It's so easy now. And the answer was like, no, we're still figuring out AI. So I'll see it. I'll nudge the city solicitor on that as well.
I'd really appreciate that. Yeah. And if it helps for people for me to be so writing them in detail is, I guess in some ways it's just myself. If you want me to get more succinct about everything, I can get more succinct about everything too. Just let me know, you know. Um, um,
No, I'll say, I mean, look, you're doing a great job. It was just that one, I just noticed you know,
okay.
the lack of
Yeah.
equity between our two presentations. But Aditi, I'll get you a summary, don't worry, and I'll send it as well. I'll also attach my presentation to you, or for you too, in
Great.
that.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the things I was going to say is, Aditi, I was really impressed with the way you summarized what I said. I think you said it in a lot of ways, you said it better than I did. I wish that I'd said some of the things there more clearly. And you really got to the heart of the matter. And I wonder when Vijay was saying that, if you, Vijay, if you feel like you would be able to do that for yourself, like write a similar summary for yourself like that, and just say whatever it is that you want, and it'll give you a second chance to revisit it, because I think that's what when you're in the moment and you're speaking, and I had notes and stuff, you might not say things exactly in the way that you would as if you were writing it down.
Sure. Yeah, no, I do plan to give Aditi a little summary of what was said for sure. And that's what,
Awesome.
yeah. So I'll get that over to you, Aditi, as soon as I can.
This isn't a new business item so much, it might be a follow-up for you, Rahina, but I believe the city has delved into podcasts. So the Salem Compass, I think the mayor's doing something on the regular basis. Is that something we could leverage down the line, whether it's just even a PSA for what we're doing, getting the word out there, or something more down the line that could be good editorial for said podcast? So just wanted to throw it out there.
That's a good idea, and I will make a note of that. I will write that down.
Yeah, I've followed it. I haven't listened yet. I think there's only 2 episodes, so it's gonna take some time for them to gain an audience, I'm sure, but um
Who
just
who volunteers to be the um the spokesperson on the podcast? Not me, Nose Ghost.
Yeah, me
DP Rachel, no?
neither.
Yeah,
we can cross
Rachel.
that
I know
bridge. Yeah, I just
Rachel.
would be curious what they're planning for editorial, and would things like this be in play from even if it's just a awareness
Oh, you mean doing like a one-off episode, not like doing a podcast of our whole process?
Correct.
Oh, no,
Or
no,
like,
no, no,
Because
no.
I was like,
having
oh
an
my God. I
episode.
was like, I don't have that. I can't.
No.
Zoom
I don't know.
doesn't work.
This week on the Salem City SEAL Task Force.
Yeah. No, well, I don't know if they run
Oh,
through
goodness.
updates of what's going on. Like I haven't listened to it yet, so that's on me.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's a way to plug things of, things that are happening that they might want to talk about.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it's
I
like
could
the
do
mayor.
a single podcast. I will say that.
Yeah, so it's like the mayor's podcast around things happening in the city. So it's not unreasonable to ask if we can be featured in one episode or just like do a little plug in one episode. Okay. All right, so without further ado, I can entertain a motion to adjourn and we can all move on with our Monday.
I second that motion.
Yeah.
Oh, so sorry, this is just technical. Somebody has to make the motion other than me and then somebody.
Oh,
I'll make
I make the motion. Please, someone second it.
I second it.
All this raise hand. Perfect. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks,
all.
everyone.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Happy
See
Pride,
you,
everybody.
Bye.